So our newest paper has been picked up all across the world by media, and it's mainstream media now. And your paper was the first paper to bring this mainstream to the Washington Post. Credit to them for putting that in, but people were still very resistant.
This is the publication which is one of the most well-known worldwide. This was the main catalyst why we were invited to talk in front of Congress people in Washington, D.C. To many of the Make America Healthy Again people, there's a factor which they've neglected and they've overlooked. And that's the...
Sam and Kit Warren-Russell, who really took skincare into their own hands.
Twin brothers from the UK who are taking the skincare industry by storm.
Sam is a nuclear astrophysicist, and Kit is a geophysicist and author.
A Notre Dame grad and his twin brother are looking to revolutionize skin health.
The two launched a 2-year intensive research study.
Two very smart guys who knew all about bad skin at a very early age.
That woman at the end was our mum, and really she's the face which launched 1,000 questions for us.
Right, Sam, I thought we'd do a series of podcasts serializing not just our peer-reviewed and published research, but also the media articles and the media, TV, radio appearances we've been in worldwide. So I wanted to start with the first one. Can you guess which one we're going to start with?
We're going reverse chronological order, so probably the Washington Post.
Yes, so we're going to start with our feature in the Washington Post, which was published, I think, at the end of 2024. And actually, this was the main catalyst or the main reason why we were invited to talk in front of Congress people, healthcare leaders in Washington, D.C., which for anyone who doesn't know is the capital of the United States of America. At the moment, they're doing a big health push. They have the Make America Healthy Again movement in full flow, led by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So this is a big deal, and it made groundbreaking waves throughout the political and the health landscape in Washington, D.C. and further afield. I think they said the Washington Post gets something like almost 100 million views in some months. So this is the publication which probably worldwide is one of the most well-known worldwide. And also in America, it's the one which all the policymakers read. It's everyone on the Hill, as they talk about it. They all read this. So everyone who's anything in terms of health or politics or policies in the United States will have seen this. And that's why it caused shockwaves across the whole community. So let's just summarize it, Sam. So can you remember the main premise of it?
Well, I think it was because it was our newest paper. So our newest paper has been picked up all across the world by media, and it's mainstream media now. So it was how the skin microbiome or damage of the skin microbiome or your skin in general is linked to all of these chronic diseases and the chronic disease epidemic at large. That was, I can't remember the exact title of it, but that was the premise, wasn't it?
Yeah, the premise was showing how skin could be linked to all of these whole body chronic diseases. And it was basically written as an article, a carbon copy article of our peer-reviewed published research, where we showed and we proposed this theory that the same thing which is going on in our environment, this massive biodiversity loss in our environment, is happening on our skin. And we proposed that this could be one of the major factors in this massive explosion in chronic diseases in the Western world. And obviously America's really badly hit, aren't they? I think it's up over 60% of people have at least one chronic disease in America. Obviously not helped by things like their opioid crisis and things like this. But the problem in America is huge, including obesity. So I think that's why it made such shockwaves in America. Because now what we're saying is, especially to many of the Make America Healthy Again people, there's a factor which they've neglected and they've overlooked. And that's the skin and the damage to the skin.
So
and if they if they keep neglecting it, they're going to fail in their objectives.
Yeah, so in terms of tackling the chronic disease epidemic, which is what the Make It America Healthy Again movement is all about, like we said, we've done another video about that. They'll fail unless they address the skin. And just to recap slightly, Kit, while acute diseases, like acute life-threatening ones, they've just, with our amazing healthcare and in the Western world, they've just almost been eradicated, really, haven't they?
Yeah.
But chronic disease has been shooting up and up and up, and from our research is almost inversely proportional to how good the healthcare system is to how bad the chronic disease epidemic is. And so that should not be happening ever. And so I was just providing a slight bit of background there. But yeah, going back to it, in terms of the causes of this chronic disease epidemic, especially in America, everyone talks mainly about, well, they talk about the environment, but the things that we're putting in our bodies from food. But where your groundbreaking article was talking how the skin damage can actually cause all of these whole body problems too, and could be the major factor.
Exactly, yeah. But Sam, you're so right to go into the chronic disease history, because I researched this for our peer-reviewed research. I think it was somewhere around in the 1950s when they call it this crossover point between the old, say, more acute and infectious diseases and the modern chronic diseases. So there was a crossover point when actually chronic diseases started to become the most prevalent in the Western world, especially in America. And that crossover point has just kept on getting further and further away. So the rise in chronic diseases has just exploded. And in some cases, especially skin problems and skin allergies, we've noticed that the rate of deterioration is actually increasing in the last 10, 15, 20 years, when it should have been decreasing. Yeah. When we've started supposedly being more aware and using all of these natural products, not only in our diets, but also supposedly natural products in the stuff we put on our skin in the shower.
And we're supposedly far more health conscious now as in the West than, say, in our parents' time. Yet chronic diseases have shot up. Obesity has shot up. So I wanted to, before we end, is just talking about the chronic disease epidemic and how important the skin is, because everyone misses this point. And like you said, if they don't take this into account, the fact that we're destroying our skin every day, and that could be causing these not only skin problems, but it's linked now to whole body health problems. That is the most important message to come from this, and we can't state that enough, can we? We talk to Congress people, everyone about this, and that is the most important message, that unless you address the skin and the damage that's happening there, this destruction, then the chronic disease epidemic will keep rising.
Exactly. That's a great soundbite to end on, I think, Sam.
And your paper was the first paper to bring this mainstream to the Washington Post, and credit to them for putting that in, but people were still very resistant about the skin.
Exactly. And the Washington Post article, as I said before, we worked closely with the journalist. The Washington Post article was essentially a reworded carbon copy of our peer-reviewed and published research, because it was that good. It took in things about this crisis in the environment, said the same crisis is happening on our skin, and then linked this to the huge rise in whole body chronic diseases in the Western world.